Ryan Miller, Small Town Movie Watcher. I just got done watching the movie Atomic Blonde. This movie is rated R, and it is rated R for. I gotta get used to this. I moved something in the van. It's rated R for drug use, profanity, sex, nakedness, violence, super duper violence. So pretty much hitting on all of it on why it would be rated R. So this movie stars Charlize Theron and John Goodman and I wanted to say McAvoy. Is that it? Professor X, Charles. Anyway, James McAvoy. There it is. So this movie is based around basically the last week of the Berlin Wall being up in Berlin. Charlize Theron is an MI6 agent. We all know this from the previews. And her job is to figure out who killed one of her fellow MI6 agents in Berlin. Her only contact is James McAvoy, the lead MI6 agent in Berlin. So the way this movie was described, and I'm pretty sure it was described by a reviewer, was that it's the female James Bond. All right? So there you go, female James Bond. I would like to say that it's the female John Wick. Not so much James Bond, but John Wick. The only thing that really says James Bond to me is that British intelligence. That's it. That's what says to me James Bond. After that, it's straight up violence, like John Wick. So the good, the bad, the ugly. The good. I think this movie is long overdue. There's been other female spy movies. There's been, one of them is La Femme Nikita. There is, I've listed off a whole bunch of them, I think, just below or just above. But there's been some other female spy movies, but I think this is the first time that a writer and director created a female spy movie without saying she's a chick, so we need to tone it down. If anything, this is a female spy movie that's taken and could pair, neck and neck with a male counterpart. Kind of like Wonder Woman and next to Superman. This one is, easily that she could go head to head with John Wick and James Bond. Both of them. So that's it. I think that was good. The scene dressing, amazing. I think that the scenery in and around the Berlin Wall, around town, all great stuff. I don't know if they filmed on location or if it was on a soundstage. I would assume that it was a little bit of both, but it was beautiful. I think that the lighting on this was magnificent. Heavy on the neon. I mean, you don't see it, but the lighting gives you that thought that it's the neon. A lot of the times in this movie, it was kind of had that drab, dark feeling to it, but it was meant to. It was meant to be gritty and dark and drab, with just the right amount of a certain kind of light. It'd be like this all pink light, or this all yellow lighting, or this all blue lighting. But it wasn't like overpowering with those lightings. So it was really good. I think that the scenery was good. The action sequences was good. There's like 4, maybe 5 fight scenes in this movie. And so I think that they were excellent. There's two of them that really I will remember for a while. One is in the preview, and it was a fight scene of her in an apartment and then jumping off a balcony with a hose. That fight scene was pretty good. And then the other fight scene that I remember, it's almost completely silent. There's like no music. There's no outside noises. It's her versus these two guys, two bad guys, two German agents, two Soviet agents. And then it's not just those two guys. So she finishes them off, and then she fights another two guys. And it's just all silent almost, except for the throwing of punches and the punches landing on a person. So it was really spectacular. It was good. Let's see. So those were the good parts. I think that the story was just okay. So going into the good, the bad. For me in this movie, I really wanted to give up after the first third, maybe a quarter to third of this movie. I was like, ugh, come on. So that, yeah, I wanted to give up, but if you're watching it, hang in there. After the first, let's see, this movie's 2 hours, so after the first 30 minutes, it gets better. But the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes of this movie, just so long. But it picks up pace like that once you get past that first 30 to 45 minutes. The Ugly. I've heard other people say that this is just... Alright, so there's a one scene in it that, and I would say this in any James Bond movie as well, or a John Wick movie. There's a scene in it, it's a sex scene, and it does nothing to me to drive the plot forward. It's just there. And a lot of people were saying, I saw a lot of bloggers say that if this was James Bond, no one would care. And I do. It doesn't. If it's just in there as a wow factor or a look at me factor, I don't need it. If it drives the plot forward, that's one thing. Most of the time it doesn't, and this is one of those times it's just kind of there. It didn't have to be there, but it's there, and it doesn't drive the plot forward whatsoever. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. That's the ugly part. So otherwise, this was a pretty good movie. If you do not like violence, like straight up, I'm going to kill you violence, don't watch this movie. If you do not like swearing, like F-bomb every other word, don't watch this movie. If you do not like nakedness, don't watch this movie. Now I will say, I don't need nakedness in a movie. This is one of the, I'll put it in. It teeters on the good, just on the side of good. They have these shots of Charlize Theron, and it's her backside or her side. And this is towards the beginning of the movie, and even in the middle of the movie, that you see all these bruises and cuts and scars, just the hard life that she has had. They're not showing you her as in that she's magnificent. They're showing her as in she is working this hard, and she's taking a brunt force beating for it. And all those cuts and scars and bruises that you see right at the very beginning of the movie, you can see those come to fruition in different parts of the movie. So that's it. Yeah, that's it. So with that, Brian Miller, Small Town Movie Watcher. I just got done watching Atomic Blonde. I think that this is a pretty good movie, but if you don't like sex, drugs, violence, nakedness, profanity, don't go watch this movie. I wouldn't even say if you like any of those, wait for it to come out on video, and then you can fast forward, because you'll be fast forwarding a lot. So take it with a grain of salt. It was a good movie. A lot of good parts to it, a lot of good things to it. Just know what you're getting into. So with that, Brian Miller, Small Town Movie Watcher. I will see you later. Thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.